Hey everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I've got a pixel to paper, if you will, hybrid project that's going to start here in the digital realm and we're going to finish it up on the old dining room / scrapbook table. I want to show you how to take a template, alter some things, make it your own, and proceed to make an awesome page. Today I'm working with a template. It's layered template number 166, and all supplies will be listed below the video so you can find these lovely things. Now the thing I like about this template is it features a font that I found on the internet called Nickainley. It's free and it's loopy and swoopy, and I just think it's a really sweet font, and I wanted to design a template, and when you buy this template you get the link inside to get that font, or if you don't want to buy this template, go search out the font Nickainley. I think it's really cute. But what I want to do is use some photos and make some alterations. So first things first, I'm going to get some photos in. Now today I am working in Photoshop Elements. Normally I would work in Photoshop Creative Cloud. I actually did a trial run in Creative Cloud of what I wanted to do with this page, and then I figured out how to repeat some of the processes that I use in full Photoshop in Elements. So maybe you'll pick up a tip or two today. That's my hope, especially for those of you who print at home on smaller photo printers like a 4x6 or 5x7. Let's dive in. Enough of my gabbing, right? Okay. The first thing I want to do is start getting some photos into this template. So I am going to select the photo that this is the first space I want to work. This is my intended layer mask. And I'm going to use either the Command for Mac or Control for PC. Command or Control O for open. I don't like to go to the menus if I don't have to, people. That's my hope for you. And I am going to find the first photo that I want to use. Now here's a little story that I'm about to tell you. The photos that I have are not necessarily going to fit perfectly in the spaces that I have. Well, that one will, and this one will be okay. But this shot right here, it's portrait, right? And I actually want to put it into a landscape layer mask. And I'm going to have to make some changes to the layer mask itself. That's totally fine. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to open this up. And I just, there are many ways you can cut and paste things. I just hit Command or Control A to select all. You get the marching ants. Command or Control C to copy. Close it. Command or Control W. You're here. You're ready to go. You've got the layer mask selected. Command or Control V. Now, of course, look over in the Layers palette. You will see this new photo comes in as Layer 1. It is directly above the intended layer mask, which is great. The photo also has come in pretty large. I mean, it's, it came off my iPhone. It's pretty big. If I zoom down a little here, let's go Command or Control Dash. You can see it's hard to see because of that light gray, but the photo's pretty big. So the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything, I'm just going to clip it, right? And I think is it Command or Control G? Nope, they changed it in this program. Okay, let me go up to the layer, create, oh, it's Shift Control G. Does that sound right? Let's try it. Is it Option Control G? Yes, Option or Alt Control G. Now, here's an interesting thing. The photo, you know what? This could, let's see here. Let's get full page. What's happening here? All right, my commands are not quite working the way they used to. This photo could look nice cropped, but I wanted to try to get more of the kids in. So what I want to do, I want to drag it in from one side. I want to drag it in from the other side. I know, it looks like it's disappearing. Stay with me. Move it into the mask. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to hold down, let's see, I'll double click that right now. I'm going to hold down my Command or Control key and my space bar to get that zoom tool. I'm going to zoom in because I want to bring this in as close to fit the mask as possible to get as much of them in as possible. So you see that, right? But you see that their feet are missing. Okay, that's a problem because that's not a good crop. Love the composition, not a good crop. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on my grid. Now, if you go up to View Grid, you'll see it. It's also either going to be Command or Control apostrophe. And when I turn that on, I'm going to show you a preference setting that I have under Adobe Photoshop Elements Editor. And let's go to where's Grids and Guide? There we go. Most of the time, this is my setup for a grid. A grid line every 1 inch with 8 subdivisions. I design a lot of my templates using this spacing, so if you have a lot of my templates, you'll notice, oh, those common margins are pretty similar, Kath. Well, there's a reason. Now what I need to do is I need to make this layer mask taller. Does that make sense? So over here I've got the photo layer. If I click below, I am now on the photo mask. And what I can do is click on the center handle and just start clicking it down, clicking it down, clicking it down. And you can kind of almost feel it pop into the grid until I get, well, do I want to go one more? I think I do. Well, yeah, okay. One more, green check mark. I have now changed the layer mask, but it's still containing the photo, right? That's kind of cool. And now what I can do is click on the layer mask below, that orange layer, and again, drag that down so that there is one grid space separating the top photo from this layer mask. And then I will repeat, let's see here, where do I get the center there? There we go. I will repeat that with the gray mask, double click, and now I have altered my template in such a way to work with the photo that I have. And I'm going to click on the photo again and I'm just going to use my arrow key to kind of move them down a tiny bit. So that's pretty cool that you can do that, right? Now what are you going to do about this little monogram area? Well, this monogram, and I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the grid, Command or Control apostrophe. This has the letter A, which you could do whatever you wanted there, whatever letter, a circle background layer that's just in black, and then a circle background. Well, here's the cool thing. I'm going to click on all 3 layers, hold down my shift key, and then I'm just going to hold down my shift key as I drag down, and then just, you know, kind of figure out, well, actually what you have to do here is click away, click on the 2 circles because they're perfectly lined up, and then you just move it until it's perfectly centered. Let me zoom in here so I can show you this a little better. See how those little center handles, actually I think on the template it's a tiny bit off, so apologize for that. And now if you were to create a digital page, that is how you would move that down and it would look great. But here's the great thing. I'm not going to use this. I'm doing something else with this, so I'm going to turn those layers off for now because well, actually I'm going to turn them back on. I'm not going to use them in the end, but I'll show you how we're going to work with that. All right, come back on. So next step, I need to get more photos. Again, target layer, Command or Control O. I'm going to get my second photo. Nope, not that one. Well, actually, no, it's not that one. This one. I'm going to open it up. And again, Command or Control A to select all, Command or Control C to copy, Command or Control W, and now I'm going to paste, and I'm going to go Option or Alt, Control or Command G. Oh, that's a mouthful. Drag it down. Of course, if you're in full Photoshop, you know that you have to hold down your Shift key, otherwise your photo constraint is all wonky and you're going to lose your proportion. So, but in Elements, you don't have to. I'm going to double click. I'm going to come in and zoom in again because I feel like this is pushing the limits too. And you'll see I'm starting to move it here. I'm going to have it be right there on the edge, and I'm going to try to bring this in a tiny bit more. Just enough so I don't see the layer mask. You know, this is pushing it because their feet are kind of getting cut off, but you know what? It's the best I could do. Well, it's technically not the best I could do. I could expand this one as well. You know, the same process, bring it down 1 pixel and do this as well. In fact, what the heck? Let's do it. Let's do it while we're here. Hold on. Don't know what just happened there. Zooming in. I'm going to click on this layer mask below, that orange one. Oh, hold on. Got to turn on the grid. There we go. I'm going to drag it down 1 time. Double click. Come over. Match that one. Oh, come on. Lock in there. Match that one. And now I'm going to drag the text down also 1 grid line. And at least what happens here, it gives the kids a chance to have their heads and their feet in the same picture. Cool, huh? All right, let's go Command or Control 0 for full page view. I'm going to hit save because you got to save while you're working. And then I'm going to add in the last photo. Command or Control O, pre-select that target layer. And now I've got my girl. Now I'm going to open her up because here's the problem. When I paste her in, her head is going to fall where that circle is. Now, can you make changes and change reality? Of course you can. Let's see how we do that here. We're going to go image transform. I know how to do this in full Photoshop, but I'm not as sure that I know how to do it in rotate. There we go. Thanks, guys. Flip horizontal. Let's try it. That's exactly what I want. I know it's not reality, but guess what? It's going to work for my scrap reality. I don't think I've altered it to the point that it's unrecognizable. Yeah? Anyway, Command or Control A, Command or Control C, Command or Control W. Yeah, come back in here, Command or Control V. Now, when I size her down, and I'm just going to do that before I, her head, you see that, right? It's in the right place. Option or Alt, Command or Control G. And now, let's push her over just like that. Now I have the photos in place. I've left this, right? But what I'm going to do, and actually, you know what? I'm going to turn off Show Highlight on Rollover, this program. I don't understand it. But I'm going to come back here and turn off the A. I'm going to turn off the circle background. And I'm going to turn off the other circle background. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some journaling here in a little bit. I'm going to change the font, but I'm going to do that off screen. And I'm going to go ahead and come up with, well, let's see. What did I want to say here? Maybe just love them so much. All right, I think it's cute. Oh, and I'm going to zoom in here too because let's zoom out a little. This loopy font is so stinking cute, right? Look at that. And normally I would never do all caps because I think that, starting the sentences, but I think it's cute. But I'm also going to move it down just like that so it sits on that little hairline. It's really simple. It's not too, I'm not changing the color. I think there's so much depth in this the photos that has black. Yeah, I'm going to keep them. So I'm going to fade out, I'm going to add journaling, and then I'm going to come back in and show you how to get these pieces printed. So the journaling is in place, and now it's time to print photos. If you have a photo printer and you have 8.5 by 11 photo paper to put in that photo printer, you can print these so easily. Literally just come in and turn off everything that doesn't need to be printed on photo paper. So what is that? We've got the title, and we've got the journaling. You would send this to print and you're golden. You see that? Just print, trim, prepare, okay? I'm gonna undo all that. But let's say you're like me. Well, I actually have a big photo printer, but I love printing photos on my Epson PictureMate 400. That little printer is new. It's my second PictureMate, and Epson sent it to me to try out, and I am in love absolutely with it. I use it for pretty much everything. It's a great little printer. It prints both 4x6 and 5x7. Well, these shots, these are going to fall within the 4x6 range. So I figured out a really quick way to get each shot ready to print to make my life easier. You ready? All right, we're going to come to the first photo. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select both the photo and the layer mask. Now, what I'm about to do, I'm not going to save, because once I do this, if I were to save, I can't make any changes, but I am going to right-click, and I'm going to come down here to Merge Layers. And when I do, my layer mask and photo become one. That is my final photo size, and that's great. I'm not going to make any changes, but I'm going to undo this in a second. Next, I'm going to hold down my Command key or my Control key, and I'm going to click right in the thumbnail. When I do that, look what happens. I get a selection of that layer, Marching Ants. Now the next step, copy this. Command or Control C. As soon as I've done that, it's copied to the clipboard of the computer. Now all I have to do is go New, Blank File, and the measurements that come up, well, it's showing here in pixels, let's pop it into inches, is 6 by 4.123. So it's a little bigger than a 6 by 4. That's fine. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to hit Command or Control V to paste. I now have one photo ready to print. Now I'm going to come back here to my template. I'm going to hit the Command or Control D to deselect, and I'm also going to hit Command Z to undo that, and Command Z to undo the load selection, and Command Z so that I get my layer back. Do you see that? You just undo until you get back to the base from whence you began, because you don't want to flatten these for all time, because what if I want to make a change? So now I can come back to this photo. I can go Command or Control P to print. Here's a weird thing that happens in Photoshop Elements. I only want this photo to print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and hit remove. And I'm going to click on that one and hit remove. I just want this photo. So my paper size, I'm actually going to go with borderless because I want this to print edge to edge. Print size is, I'll go actual size. And then I will send this to print and I will have a beautiful 4x6 print ready to go. So I'm going to hit cancel. I've already done that. I'm going to hit close. And you can save this as you want in case you need to print again. In fact, I'm just going to call it photo 1, save it in case I need to come back to it. So let's repeat. Come down to layer 2. Hold down my shift key to get both selected. Right click, merge layers. Command or control click in the layer thumbnail, right in that little checkerboard. Boop. Now it's selected. Command or control C to copy. And then again, when I go up to new blank file, let me hit inches there, it'll show you, oh, it's a 3.5 by 3. Click OK. Command or control V to paste. Fantastic. Let's print. Command or control P. Now here's the other thing. Here they are again. Again, I don't know. I'm just going to hit remove. I have trouble with this. It's something on my system, but it might be on yours too. Now I want to show you this. So I need to change from borderless to 4x6 because when you use borderless, it increases the size of your image. I don't want this image larger because the crop marks, which I'll show you where those come from, I need this to print exact size, actual size. So my paper size just needs to be straight up 4x6. But when I go to more options, this is where you see trim guidelines. And you want this because then it gives you the actual size. You use them to trim. I'm going to show you how that works. So you click OK, you apply it, and you send this one to print as well. And then you have another 4x6 print that contains the actual size print that you need. Then you're going to repeat that. I'm going to close this. I'm going to save it. Again, I'll call it photo 2. And you repeat this process for the third one as well. I'm not going to show you that one because it's pretty basic. Command or Control D to deselect. And it's time to print the background. Although I just realized when I was hitting my undos, I accidentally undid my journaling. So I'm going to have to retype that. But once I do, all I'm going to do is just turn off the layer mask layers. Well, not that one, this one. And then print this. And actually, if I zoom in, you'll see it does have that line there. Print this on, I'm just going to use Neenah Smooth Solar White Cardstock. It takes jet ink beautifully. And I will be back in the next clip on my scrapbook table to build the final page. Now I've got all of my elements here, my photos with the crop marks, and I've got my journaling and title printed on my Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. And I've got some Hero Arts nesting circle dies. I have become a huge fan of these for things that in the past I might have used a circle punch for. But first I'm going to go ahead and cut out the images using my metal ruler and X-Acto knife. Now you can use a paper trimmer with this as well. You just line up those marks, pop your blade in at the mark, drag through, but don't go all the way through. I just use a metal ruler and X-Acto knife because I've kind of been doing it this way for years and it's just easy for me. So I had to take a little bit extra off that because I cut it a little crooked. Sometimes when I am on this black mat, I don't see what I'm doing as easily. So I've got this trimmed now. And I want to line these up side by side, and you can kind of see, oh yeah, one is just a little bit off from the other. I just cut it a little bit off. You want them to be the same for this particular design. And now I can go ahead and start positioning the photos. You can see there that this 6" by 4" photo fits great right underneath that title. And now I just sort of have to play, but I realized that I had way too much space above the journaling. So I printed out another one. I moved it up. Take that white piece of paper, I'm going to use it for other things, and now I have the spacing more to my liking. So, you know, I'm not afraid to waste paper, especially knowing that I can flip over a piece of that Neenah. Yeah. Now here comes the circle dies. Now I'm going to use two concentric dies that fit well with each other. And I'm going to use one to cut a notch out of all of the photos. And then I'm going to use the smaller one to make a little monogram embellishment. And I'm going to be using my CZ Design Everett Alphas, the letter Z. I love this font. It's very minimal sans serif. Outline, you can color them in, you can stamp them and leave them plain, but this will fit perfectly inside my little circle. And what I'm going to do is use a piece of Lawn Fawn Black Licorice cardstock, and I'm going to heat emboss this in silver. Now, I just wanted to make sure I had enough clearance there for that circle die to fit. Now I'm going to take my powder tool, get it all nice and powdery. I love how this thing smells. I know that powder, baby powder, apparently is bad for us now. I mean, it has. Bear with me, but it always reminds me of childhood when I put this stuff on to keep my ink sticking where it should with the embossing powder. And I'm using a Nuvo embossing powder, just their classic silver. This is a new powder that I've just recently got. And I'm going to stamp down that Z with the sticky Versamark ink. Get a nice good impression on there, and then go ahead. And I use my MISTI tool to do this. I know it's simple. I could have just, free range stamped it, but the MISTI is going to make sure it's nice and even every time, and I love the stamping consistency that the MISTI gives me. So now I'm just going to heat set this and get that nice melty silver. It's really simple, but once this is all nice and melted and looks good, now I am ready to go ahead and lay that circle die over it. And that's what I like about these circle dies. There's less guesswork than there is with the circle punch. I'm sorry, I'm not good with the circle punch, but these ones, And to think for years I've been scrapbooking and never knew that nested circle dies could be used in scrapbooking. Thank you. So now the idea here is to take a notch, an equal notch out of each of the photos. So the first photo I'm going to do is the top one, the 4x6. I'm going to use the low-tack tape because it will stick to photos in a way that it might not stick to cardstock. But once I run that through my Big Shot and get it cut out, now I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the same thing for this. Get the other notches out, make sure everything's nice and lined up. I love to preserve those common margins, and then I can run those through my Big Shot as well until I get this nice little notched look. So nice. And now, once that's all glued down, I'm going to go ahead and pop up my little Z monogram just with some of the thin 3L foam adhesive. I love these mini dots. And I want to mount the whole thing on this piece of pattern paper. It's this really cool ombre, single color, faded out diamonds from Studio Calico. Love this paper. I think it's super cool. But I need to trim, okay? I got to trim some of the actual background here off of my core white area. So I went in and just kept trimming until I got an equal amount that I liked. And then I'm going to take some of that same black licorice cardstock and just make a nice thin matte, because I felt like it needed a matte on that gray. This is pretty neutral. There's not a lot going on. I realize that there's not a lot of color, but I really like the emphasis to stay, on my photos and on the story. And so the minimal neutral color scheme works for me. So I've just taken the adhesive off. I like to get my pokey tool. I'll use tweezers sometimes, but also the pokey tool is nice because see how you can see, oh yeah, the margin is even. So now I place that down, and this page is basically done. And that concludes the layout for today, starting in the pixel world with a digital template and customizing it and bringing it to the paper world and building the hybrid layout. Thank you so much for watching today. Please subscribe to my channel and check out more videos in the center. To see more from me, visit my website today. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.